That's it, folks. That is it from the Lone Star State. Your Sacramento Kings 129, Dallas Mavericks 113 in what is the Kings' best performance of the season to date to extend their record on this road trip to 3-0. Kings fans, light the beam in a dominant, I can't reinforce that word enough, dominant performance by your Sacramento Kings in Dallas. We've got it all broken down for you. This is the post-game show on If You Don't Like That.
3, 2, 1, go.
Sacramento miscue. Carter, stolen by Williams. And look at this. Oh, you don't like that. You don't like NBA basketball. Fox, goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. The exclamation point from De'Aaron Fox. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball.
Boy, that's an ESPN highlight right there. Whoa. Carlson comes in. How about this? Holy moly, Jim Bob Bowley. That is a major league smush.
Welcome into the post-game show. I'm Ryan and Sacktown. I'll be joined here in a second by Jerry Reynolds. Hey, Napoli's brother, hint, i.e. Napoleon. Nice try, dude. First off, I think Grant explained it pretty well last game. Yeah, I'm a fan, but I'm analyzing these games. It's not my job to pick who I want to win. It's who I think is going to win. And if you watched the pregame show earlier today, which I doubt you did, Napoli's brother, I said the Kings would win this game in a wire-to-wire performance, and they would dominate this game. So thanks for checking in. And have a wonderful night, my friend. Goodbye. Anyways, let's get back to the fun stuff. Let's get back to business. Kings with easily, in my opinion, and I'd love to get your guys' take on this, the best win of the season thus far, 129-113 over the Dallas Mavericks. Check this out. The Kings, first quarter, 35 points. Second quarter, 35 points. Third quarter, 37 points. Fourth quarter, 22 points, outscoring Dallas in all four quarters and doing something that Grant and I have talked about all season. This team needed to do to take the next step. Consistency. They did it consistent tonight, did it consistently tonight. And there's just not much more you can say about that. I mean, we talk about Luka, we talk about Kyrie. This is a Dallas offense coming into this game. Second highest scoring offense in the NBA. They were held tonight to 113 points, and Napoli, they held Kyrie and Luka both under 30 points tonight. I don't know what else to say, but I bet you I do know somebody that does know what to say right now, and he is the one and only Jerry Reynolds. Jerry, how'd you like that game tonight, buddy?
Well, what a fun game. Obviously, Dallas is a good team, and they've been playing well. They had a tough one last night, but the truth is the Kings just outplayed them. And, it was a case where the Kings stars, Fox and Sabonis, were simply better than Luka and Kyrie. I thought the second half, Kings put a little more pressure on them, tried to get the ball out of both those guys' hands a little better. And they just didn't have the energy to fight the Kings. And, of course, the Kings, they come at you 5 different ways, and that's kind of the difference. But best win of the year as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Best win of the year.
Yeah, that's how I led the show, Jerry. I mean, top to bottom. I mean, this is a Dallas team. I just said they're averaging right around 127 points a game, which is second in the NBA coming into tonight. 123 points a game. And tonight, the Kings hold them to 113 points. And Jerry, we've talked about this team needing to be consistent. They were indeed consistent tonight, but, defense is the liability in Sacramento. That's what we've heard all of this year and all of last year. I'm going to read you some numbers. So coming into tonight, the Kings were the 13th rated offense in the league per offensive rating and 14th rated defense in the league, only holding teams to 100.9 points. Since De'Aaron Fox has been back in this last 3-game stretch, they're holding teams to 112.5. Jerry, are we seeing a Sacramento Kings team that can play defense?
I think we are. I think that certainly they're going to give up points because of how good and quick they play offensively. And so there's going to be a lot of possessions. But, yeah, I think we're seeing a much better defensive team than we saw last year. And, part of it is, Fox is such a good defender now. He was making strides last year, but he stepped it up. And then the overall continuity of the team. I think Coach Brown and Monty McNair knew is really important to keep the guys together, so to speak. And that has led to, I think, just overall better defense. And so, in my mind, is this team will by the another 20 games or so offensively be as good or better than they were last year. And with improved defense, it makes it a serious contender, in the West, I think. I think we got a reason to believe that it can be.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And the offense is going to come. As you've seen De'Aaron come back, the offense has been back in gear. So I expect that offensive rating to go way up. But if they stick around in, the mid-range or even the top third of the league defensively, they could be serious contenders here in this Western Conference and even the entire NBA.
Oh, yeah. And I look at like Fox and Sabonis. What duo is better than they are? Maybe that's not named Jokic and Murray. Really, I think they're right at the certainly right at the top, if not the top. I think logically, even as big a homer as I am, you still got to give Jokic and Murray the edge there. They've won the championship. But these two guys are, and they're your team leaders. And of course, the depth that Coach Brown has, you can plug in a lot of guys with those two because of the threat they present.
Yeah, and they're such different players too, yet they play so well off of each other. And that's kind of that Jokic Murray thing that you're talking about. It's just a great yin to their yang. So De'Aaron Fox finishes tonight, 30 points. Obviously, he gets some rest at the end of the game. He gets 4 rebounds, 7 assists, Jerry. To me, De'Aaron Fox looks like he's playing a different game out there. And tonight, he went up against 2 of the best guards, or regarded as 2 of the best guards in the NBA. We talk about De'Aaron Fox taking that leap to superstar. I think we're there, don't you?
Yes, I do. He was the best guard on the floor, and I'm not taking anything away from Kyrie or Luka. Certainly they have Hall of Fame type talent. They've proven that.
Yeah.
And so, but clearly Fox was the best of the 3 tonight. He might not be every night, but definitely. I've always said I thought in the years I've watched the Kings, in Kansas City and in Sacramento, the only guard that I've seen better than Fox was Nate Archibald in his prime, who was just absolutely a dominating player. But I really think Fox is probably better than Nate now. I don't think he can ever, franchise-wise, catch Oscar Robertson, but if that be the only one, I think he's clearly a better guard than Mitch Richmond. And, Mitch is in the Hall of Fame, but so I don't say that loosely, but he's right there with the very elite in this league. And, you can argue about who's the best guard in the league, whether it's Alexander or Doncic or Lillard or Curry. But you can make the argument that De'Aaron Fox is the very best right now.
Yeah, leading the league in scoring coming into this game. So he's doing something right. And Grant and I, just one more thing on De'Aaron Fox. We were talking on the post-game show last game, and Grant or somebody asked in the chat, have we seen the best of De'Aaron Fox? Can De'Aaron Fox improve, Jerry, from how he's playing so far this season?
It's going to be hard. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that he can't, but it's, and I think he's at his kind of prime years, and so generally speaking, when a guy gets to the level he's at, which is at the highest level, the real trick is to maintain for about 7-8 more years, stay healthy, and as you lose, which we've seen over the years, he'll lose a little quickness and speed, but I think he'll make up for it with intelligence, how to play, and shooting ability, which we're seeing his shooting becoming so much better, and that makes the game easier, and that's kind of the way it plays out for the great guards as when they get near 30 or 31 when they're smaller.
Yeah, it makes him pretty much unstoppable. In 7 to 8 years, Jerry, that's not that long to play at that level, right? I mean,
no, we've seen it. I mean, I've watched Curry long enough and Lillard long enough to, make you sick. And I think that, it might have taken De'Aaron a little longer to get there, maybe a year or so, to that level that they got to, which Hall of Fame level. But he's there. He's there. And no reason he can't stay there for many years. And when they, really hearing fans yell MVP is not out of line. He deserves to be in that mix.
Absolutely. Great point there by Jerry Reynolds. Jerry joining us for just one more minute. Kings win 129-113. Thanks for joining us here on If You Don't Like That on the post-game show. Give us a thumbs up if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. All right, Jerry, last question. So the Kings, they start off this road trip perfect. 3-0 so far. They're going to have their first back-to-back starting 2 games in a row in New Orleans tomorrow night, and then they finish up with Minnesota. Jerry, how do you see the end of this road trip finishing up for the Kings?
Well, I mean, if they play like this, they're going to win them all. But that's, you can't predict that. But I'd almost be surprised if they don't go 5-1 on this trip. I mean, it's tough with the Pelicans are a very talented team. You're playing them back to back at home, and then Minnesota at the end of it, which is here again. They're really a much improved team. So I just think there's a chance to lose one game, even if you're playing at a high level, because you're not going to sneak up on Minnesota, and you're not going to, and you got to beat the Pelicans back to back. Hard to do, but anytime if you go 5-1 on the road, then you're a serious contender in the West, and I think they'll do that. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope they go 6-0, but I think that's a bit much, even for a homer like me to dream upon.
I don't think you're that big of a homer. Like you said, if they play like this, 5-1 in the road is very obtainable. So always awesome to have you here on the show, Jerry. Thank you so much for joining the post-game show. Can't wait to talk to you at halftime tomorrow night.
Can't wait.
All right.
Have a lot to talk about. Thanks, Ryan.
Yes, we will. The one and only Jerry Reynolds. Awesome. I love having Jerry here on the show. So thank you guys all for being here. Now I want to get to your comments. What a night from the Kings. Want to get your guys' thoughts and wrap this up. I mean, this to me is how every fan watching this stream envisioned this Kings team playing night in and night out. And, we don't want to make too much of one game, but this Dallas team coming in tonight, 3rd in the West. Now they are 9-5 in the West. Kings improved to 8-4 on the season. So you still have to accentuate the positives here because we saw so much. And Kevin Huerter being out tonight, what was that change going to look like in the starting lineup with Chris Duarte? He showed up. All 5 Kings starters in double digits. So let's go ahead and get some of your comments in here. Really appreciate you guys coming in tonight on the post-game show. Kings defense starts from an aggressive defense on the ball. by Fox. The team responds. Yeah, good defense. Yeah, basically, yeah, it's progress. I like the end of that comment right there. It certainly is progress for the Kings. So you will take it. I thought the key thing, Jerry talked about this at half, was to try to pick up Dallas a little bit more extended, whether it's 3/4 of a court, full court. They did that a little bit more in the second half, and it made a difference. I mean, the Kings took the Mavericks out in the third quarter. That was the end of the game. Mavs on a back-to-back, but I don't think if the Mavs were on or weren't on a back-to-back, that it would have made much of a difference. This Kings team just came out. I mean, again, I don't remember a time this season the Kings have won every single quarter in a basketball game, and they did that tonight. So yeah, Davion did get some minutes, Gabriel. Really good stop on Kyrie straight off the bench after not playing for a few games. So that's one thing about this Kings team that I really like. Davion Mitchell, whoever it is, they stay ready. Alex Len, if you don't play 2, 3, 4, 5 games at a time, when you get your number called, most times these guys are ready to play. And to me, that speaks to the character of this team, and that speaks to the coaching staff on this team, keeping those guys ready. So yeah, we've booted Napoli's entire family. So if any more pop up, we'll take care of that. But we're not going to give him any more attention here on the show because you guys deserve the attention. Want to get you in on the chat for the post game. Was a close game for most of the game. Let's see. Did the Kings beat a tired Mavericks team, or are the Kings overall a better team or the better team? I think the Kings are the better team. The Mavericks schedule has not been as strong as I would like it to see for a team that's third in the West this early in the season. But the Kings tonight, remember, Sabonis, Fox, those guys got the latter parts of the fourth quarter off. So had this been a closer game, the differential would have continued climbing. And I just think when the Kings play this way, and we really haven't seen it this much this year, where it's consistent on both sides of the ball. When they play this way, they're very, very hard to beat. You look at the assist to turnovers tonight, the Kings end up finishing with 34 assists. 34 assists to only, I believe, 13 turnovers. 34-13. That's a winning formula for the Kings when they hit that. But what I was going to say is usually if the Kings aren't shooting well, sometimes those are the games where it's a defensive matchup. Think about that early Warriors game this season, the second one in San Francisco. It was only 100, I think it was like 103 to 102, or it was low 100s. So the Kings weren't shooting the ball well, but they also held the Warriors to the low 100s. So what I'm saying is this is a night where they showed up on both ends. And from start to finish, if there was a time or a lull that they weren't playing well, Mike Brown called a quick timeout, reset the team, and they responded. I mean, top to bottom, I really don't have any complaints. So I would love to see what you guys see, and let me know if you saw anything that you thought was concerning. Yes, absolutely. Jerry just said it, Lance. He's leading the league in scoring. He was leading the league in scoring coming into tonight. And look at the Sacramento Kings without him. You already have an established sample size where the Kings did not play well. And even in the games that they won, they still didn't play great in most of them. So I don't see any way that you can deny the fact that he is a legitimate MVP contender at this point in the season. And I don't really see it slowing down. I mean, he's going to have some nights where he's a little bit off, but the way this offense is set up, the way that teams still have trouble guarding De'Aaron, and now the growth of his three ball, he shot the three ball very well tonight. You mix that in, that is a perfect storm to be a part of that conversation. So we love Jerry too, Hutch. Jerry is the man. You know what, Hutch? I should have told Jerry that you wanted to get his face tattooed along with Grant. I will bring that up to Jerry next time we have him on the show. So let's see. Yeah, we're getting a lot of comments, so I'm trying to get to as many of them as I can. Kings win 129-113. Give you some stats for tonight. I mean, again, just perfect, stereotypical, perfect Kings basketball as we think about it. Kings shoot 48 for 90 from the field. That's 53.3% to Dallas's 46.6. So Dallas still shot the ball well, but again, Luka, Kyrie, both under 30 points. One of my keys to the game tonight on the post-game show. 3-point shooting, or on the pregame show, 3-point shooting, 17 of 40 for the Kings for 42.5%. Dallas only at 35.3%. So the Kings had a slight advantage there. 16 to 21 from the free throw line. For a while, the Kings were hovering in the 80-90%, but that dropped off towards the end. That's 76.2%. We talked about the assist to turnovers. Another place tonight where the Kings absolutely dominated on the boards. Rebounding tonight was spectacular. In fact, the Kings were getting out-rebounded after the first quarter. They bounced back, win the rebounding battle, 48-40. 14 offensive rebounds tonight. That was clutch. The Kings got multiple offensive rebounds in some possessions, and a lot of times they limited Dallas to one shot, which is what you have to do when you're playing against a team that likes to play a lot of isolation, as we saw tonight. So great job there by the Kings. Dallas, the Kings dominated this game. Dallas only 23 assists. So again, not really a place to point at to say the Kings can do this better. I mean, exactly what you want. Like I said, all 5 starters in double digits. Sabonis, 32, 13, and 6. Just a monster performance. Harrison Barnes, a little bit better, 12 points tonight. He kicked in 4 rebounds and 6 assists. The assists were a nice bonus from Harrison. And I did like Harrison's aggressiveness down low. That certainly needs to continue as the season goes along. Keegan Murray, let's talk about him. If we want to talk about a little bit of a struggle tonight, Keegan had some really good looks in. He had some great looks that were within the framework of the offense, the looks that you usually see him knock down, or at least you saw him knock down last year, spot up threes, etc. He got into a little bit of foul trouble. So the struggles continue for Keegan. One thing that certainly helps those struggles is wins like this. So it's not any time to be down about your game. They'll bounce back. They've got a quick bounce back going to New Orleans tomorrow night, the Kings' first back-to-back, and they'll be playing a very good New Orleans Pelicans team who has been playing much better as of late after a little bit of a cold streak. Grant is just fine. So I will pass along your prayers as well, but he is just fine. He will be back tomorrow for the New Orleans game. So looking forward to that. And I believe he will be back at 3:00 tomorrow for football talk with Sean Salisbury. So make sure you tune in if you can. If you can't, catch the replay on this YouTube channel. If you don't like that, Grant's channel, subscribe if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up. We would really appreciate it. Love the 216 of you joining us on YouTube and all the others on Twitter Live. If you are watching on Twitter Live, thank you so much. And by the way, if you want to be a part of the show and comment, hop over to YouTube if you're on Twitter Live to If You Don't Like That. And you can be a part of the show, and I can bring up your comments. So, no, they didn't lose the first. Well, yeah, I guess they did lose the first by a point. You're right. I'm sorry. My vision's not that great. But still, they win 3 or 4 quarters. So it's still, to me, to come out on the road, score 35, the way that they did it in the first quarter and the way that they held Dallas's stars down in the first quarter, I thought that sent a big tone for the Kings and the way that the rest of the game would play out, which it ultimately did. And this Kings team now on a roll, 6 straight wins. For the lows they went through without De'Aaron Fox, they are certainly riding high right now. No, Grant is just fine. He had the night off tonight, so he will be back tomorrow. I can promise you of that, and I'm sure he's probably watching right now if he can and chiming along. So thank you for all the well wishes, David. Yes, it was a well-managed game. Absolutely. Again, I talk about the Kings responding to coaching. They're responding to the little things, in-game adjustments. You see Jordi Fernandez out there. He works predominantly the defensive end of things. You see some of the coaches, Luke Laux, working with De'Aaron on the side. He works out De'Aaron before the games, just pointing little things out to them. And these guys, they adjust. They're coachable. They want to be coached. And it's a great thing. I mean, everything's not going to always be perfect. And I'm not saying tonight was perfect, but it was about as good as it gets for Kings basketball, and especially on the road, middle of your first long road trip. And the Kings, speaking of road trips, they are showing us that they can play on the road and at home so far this year. And the home we always thought would come along. The road we weren't sure about, because the Kings were beneficiaries of a lot of injuries last year with their opponents. I mean, I think about that stretch right after the All-Star break. It started off with Dame Lillard and the rest of the guys for the Blazers that, would be the guys the Blazers needed to win the game. They didn't play. And it just kind of dominoed from there, and the Kings took advantage of that. So that's the other side of the coin. Other teams can serve you up whatever they want. They can put it on a silver platter. You still have to eat it. And the Kings have been doing that. They did it last year. Now this season, the road's looking just as strong as at home. So I'm as happy as I'm sure all of you are. I'm seeing a ton of these comments. So I am trying to get the chat in, Catherine. It is moving so fast. I usually don't work the chat, but I will get those in right now. Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Trying my best. It's impossible to fill the shoes of Napes, but trying to at least hold it down here on a Kings win for you. Light the beam Sunday night to put a bow on your NFL Sunday of football. Here's a great question from Jay. Fox, Sabonis, or Weber, Bibby? Whoa, good question, because the sample size of Fox, Sabonis is starting to approach the Weber, Bibby prime sample size, like where they had that really good 2.5 year stretch. So I'm going to hold or withdraw opinion until they have a full season together, but I certainly think that it's trending towards the first, Fox and Sabonis, because I look at Fox compared to Bibby. Bibby was one of the things about Mike, incredibly clutch, right? Was not afraid to take the big shot. De'Aaron Fox, clutch. What did he do last year? Won the inaugural clutch player of the year. So that's a fairly even matchup. In fact, you almost have to give it to De'Aaron, because I don't think Mike made an all-star team. So if I'm looking at that, and this is a big Mike Bibby house, a big Mike Bibby house. I've got to lean Fox. And as for Sabonis, Weber, that's tough. You probably have to lean Weber right now. But Sabonis, here's the thing. Sabonis, he gets more consistent with that mid-range jump shot. It's Fox and Sabonis. If they sustain this through the length of their contracts, hands down, Fox, Sabonis. You heard Jerry just a few minutes ago saying Fox was probably the best scorer since Tiny Archibald, and probably going to be better than him. So yeah, great question there, but I'm going that way. All right. So you guys have so many shows going on within the show. Love you too, Blaine. Appreciate it. I'm trying to not get caught up in those, but then also get in on a comment that's like a question for everybody or a comment. Ryan always be getting run on the Jim Rome show. Yeah, I'm a clone. Totally a clone. It's Granite Bennett's. No, he is not. I guarantee he wishes he was at Bennett's. Not saying he's anywhere bad right now, but I wish I was at Bennett's, or I wish I would be at Bennett's after I finish this post-game show where the Kings win 129-113. So, okay, here's the consensus. Grant is at Bennett's, everyone. It's all good. All right, guys. If Grant's at Bennett's, answer me this. Which location is he at, and what is he eating? Those are the two questions. Which location and what is he eating? In the meantime, it's a pretty darn good transition. Want to tell you about the aforementioned restaurant, Bennett's West Side Grill, the newest location. That is the new location in Rockland. Same great Bennett's, new location, as I said. What can be said about Bennett's that we haven't said already? Prime cuts of steak and seafood. Just a fabulous, expansive menu, great portion sizes. Did I mention awesome service and great specials too? They've got weekend brunch. They have a mimosa special, weekend prime rib. They have happy hour. Also 60 different wines by the glass. I know Grant always hits on that, but that's a lot of wines by the glass. But that means they sell a lot of wine, and it is good wine. Rombauer, Camus, etc. And with the holidays coming up, don't forget about Bennett's for any holiday parties or work gatherings that you may have. They do have a couple of private rooms at their different locations. I know Howland Fair Oaks has a private room. So does the new location in Rockland, and beautiful patios if you want to sit out and have some brunch and catch some rays. Our favorite place where Grant is apparently at right now, Bennett's West Side Grill in Rockland. Go check them out. Tell them you heard about them here on If You Don't Like That. So, all right, I need to get to some more of your comments. Yes, light the beam. This is getting great. Yeah, I appreciate that. It is getting great right now. Okay, so Blaine says eating the redfish. Timmy's saying the redfish too. Okay, interesting. He hasn't been doing redfish as much lately because he's been trying to get through the menu, but he gets stuck. Like I always get stuck. So, yeah, redfish is the consensus so far. Roseville with a steak. That's a good guess too. Roseville with a steak. He does like the New York for sure. Rockland ribeye, Paul says. Okay. All right. So we're getting some guests. Grant, if you're at Bennett's, chime in. Let us know what you're having. Matthew says, best brunch deal. So, yeah, they've got really, really good brunch. Derek from New York checking in. I haven't done the national check-in. Wish you could see the beam from New York. Yeah, well, maybe Vivek keeps making that thing brighter and brighter. So you might be able to see it one day. Maybe if they win a championship, right? Still getting more comments about Bennett's. Love it. Love it. Yeah, I like watching these early games too. Because, well, for you guys, I mean, Derek, you tell me, I mean, is there really that East Coast, West Coast bias? I mean, you're around more New Yorkers than we are. Grant obviously is a New Yorker. But for the East Coast, getting to see the Kings earlier is better. But here's the question. Would people stay up? What does this team have to do, Derek, for people on the East Coast to stay up to watch this Sacramento Kings team? So a Sacramento Kings team that dominated tip to finish tonight. Sabonis, 32 points, 12 points for Harrison Barnes, 17 for Keegan Murray. Still struggling, though, a little bit with that three ball. Only 2 of 7. De'Aaron, 30 points, killing it. Chris Duarte did a great job stepping into the starting lineup. Jerry Reynolds spoke about his, what do you want to call it? Not his relationship, but his chemistry with Sabonis. He had a lot of chemistry his rookie year in Indiana with Sabonis. Arguably Duarte's best year because he's been injured a lot since then, but fresh start here. So I want to get back up to some of these because it really was a great question. Victor about Weber and Bibby versus Fox Sabonis. Okay, so take the Western Conference Finals out of it. Take that out of it. And when I say take that out of it, not that they made it to the Western Conference Finals, but how they lost the Western Conference Finals. Because a lot of us have fond memories of, like, really good memories of the good times during that series. But if you're just looking on an objective level, Victor says Weber and Bibby for sure. Well, okay. We're getting a comment that's neither, but I think it's a fair comment about Cousins. But he did have a mid-range jumper, a clean mid-range jumper. Sabonis had that. He could be more of a threat. Yeah, that's what I said. If he has that shot, different Sabonis. And he's trying to work that in. Did you guys see him hit that fadeaway tonight from about, he was free throw line extended and maybe like 16, 17 foot or 16, 17 feet. He hit a fadeaway and I'm like, what? But hey, new wrinkles into his game. Appreciate that. Matthew says Weber and Fox, but Sabonis a close second. So Matthew, you're saying Weber and Bibby, or are you mixing the two? Because if you mix the two, that's a whole different story. Fox and Weber in his prime would have been a fun combination to watch. I don't know if it would have been. And here's why. Grant talks about it all the time. Chris sometimes, como se dice, he went into business for himself at times. And when I say that, there was times the team was doing good, but he may have been more concerned about his stats, not to tarnish anything Chris has ever done in Sacramento, because easily one of the greatest Sacramento Kings of all time. So it's hard to compare Weber and Sabonis in that, right? Because they're completely different. Sabonis is about the team. In fact, you could argue Sabonis is sometimes too unselfish. So I think the Fox and Sabonis combination is much better than the Fox and Weber combination would have been. I just, outside of Chris's jump shot, what would have been better about, because Chris, he could pass the ball. He can't pass the ball like Sabonis, though. I mean, that was Vlade's thing, right, with that team. So I don't think so. I don't think, not a bad combination, but I think Fox and Sabonis is better than Fox and Weber. All right, still getting in some of these comments. Keep getting them in. Still, we're getting Grant and Bennett's for sure. Rockland with the house mac and cheese. So, you know what? I freaking love that you guys know the menu at Bennett's. It's the best. Yeah, redfish, please. Bennett's getting all this run. Yeah, if it's nighttime, Grant's either having the New York strip or he's doing the redfish. Confident of that. Lunchtime, a little bit more of a wild card for sure. So Kings, we're having fun here on the post-game show. Kings win 129-113. And Jerry said it too, the best performance of the season. It would be interesting to see what these two teams do when both of them, or I should say Dallas, is not on the second end of a back-to-back. Still, I don't think it makes a ton of difference the way the Kings played tonight and the way that they played the Mavericks, and specifically Luka. I loved that they threw a double at him once in a while and they doubled off of the pick and roll. So you can't ask for more than that. So Weber, Bibby all day. Okay. Monk, okay. Good transition there. Monk or Bobby Jackson? I think you meant or. Bobby Jackson. 100% Bobby Jackson. So here's the difference. Bobby Jackson, for my memory, he was always completely consistent. You knew what you were going to get. And not that Malik doesn't play defense, but think about Bobby's defense. He was a stopper. It was game 5 of the Western Conference Finals when Kobe tried to go over Bobby for the game winner. Bobby held his own against one of the 5 best players of all time in a pressure situation. Make Kings lose, miss Kings win. So for that, I've got to go Bobby for sure. And I think some people are agreeing with me. Bobby all day. And this is a great point by Paul. Different NBA, different players. I think Fox is better than Bibby. Prime Weber would be stronger than Sabonis. Remember, this was Shaq era. Very good point. So, Paul, how would Sabonis translate to Shaq? Because Vlade drew most of the assignments on Shaq when he wasn't in foul trouble. I mean, the Kings had to throw any forward or center at Shaq during those days. But yeah, Sabonis, I think, you would have to give the edge to Sabonis defensively against Shaq over Weber, in my opinion. I know Weber's a little bit longer, but Weber could get pushed around. So, Bibby, good point on the different NBA. Mike could play inside out, just like Fox can, but Mike, how would Mike do in this NBA? I think he would adjust fine. I mean, he pushed the pace for that Kings team a lot of time, but great point about a different NBA for sure. Sabonis dribbles up the court. Great point there. He had a play tonight where he was able to go straight to the rack because they didn't stop him. Chris sometimes would do that, but Chris looked a little bit more for his guards if they were in transition. I mean, here's the thing. Like we're comparing, we're not comparing like, bad players and bad players. We're comparing great players in 2 eras of Sacramento basketball that are probably the most watched eras. You think about that 2000 to 2006 run the Kings had. Obviously, this Kings team is early in their run, 2 years together, going on 2 years together. But the way they're set up to go 4 more, at least 4 more. With the youth, with the contracts, that's part of why they locked Sabonis up. So it's a good time to be a Kings fan. It is definitely a good time to be a Kings fan. Bobby Jackson had a t-shirt in the Kings store, double trouble, because he was a force on offense and defense. Yeah, great job. Good job by you, Matthew. He truly was a force both ways. So, it's B-Jack over Monk for sure. But the fact that you guys are talking about Monk in the same breath as you're talking about Bobby Jackson means that you have high praise for Malik Monk so far and what he's done here in Sacramento. The question becomes, what do the Kings do with Malik Monk since this is the last year of his contract? Do the Kings extend him? Do the Kings trade him at the trade deadline? What do they do? I mean, those are all things for down the road. Let's enjoy this one tonight. But that is certainly something that we need to keep our eye on for sure as we get to the latter part of the season. Well played. Grant had a DNP today. DNP. So instead of DNP, coach's decision, DNP, not the boss's decision. So I don't know what the acronyms or the letters would be for that, but I can promise you Grant is planning to be back here tomorrow night. Catherine, see, I'm getting you in, Catherine. You got to consider that era too, the abilities of the people in the league back then. Yeah, you're right. So, Catherine, you bring up a good point. Some of those guys, speaking not so much Bibby, but Weber, he was a little more ahead of his time. And you get points for that. You get extra credit for that. That's like your Steph Curry's, right? And I'm not comparing the two players, but you kind of change the position. You change the way the game, the overall game is played. And for a 4, Weber really did step out a lot more than many other 4s did. Catherine brings up a great point. He was far more versatile than a lot of the other power forwards in the game when a lot of them were, more down low. And you think about, and obviously forward center, whatever, Karl Malone, he was in that group too, and he was doing it before Weber. But yeah, the inside out, that was a different wrinkle in the passing too for a 4, for sure. So well done by you. Well done. Let's see. Bobby Jackson got so many under 40% shooting seasons. Well, he didn't need to shoot 50, 60, 70%. Bobby Jackson needed to do exactly what Bobby Jackson did. And again, he was a two-way player. You think back to the team, and you think back to that team, how many guys that got consistent minutes on that team were legitimate two-way players? Can't say that about Doug Christie, right? He wasn't. Bibby, no. Weber, no. Vlade, do we count the flops? Yeah, so Bobby was kind of he was the two-way player for that team that could do it both ways when you needed to. And Bobby did it at times when Coach Adelman needed him on the spot. There wasn't a lot of times where Bobby, a lot of the different moments we think about from his career, some of those were spurred of the moment. He wasn't in the flow of the game. He wasn't playing his 20th and 21st minute and then made the big play on his 22nd minute. There were times he was plugged in certain situations where he had been on the bench for 5, 6, 7 minutes, and he steps in and he performs and gives us moments that we all think about. He gives that team a spark offensively, gives them the big stop defensively. So I love this topic. You guys, great topic. Absolutely love it. And again, the Kings 129-113 over the Dallas Mavericks, improve to 7-4 tonight. They fly out after the game to New Orleans. By the way, I just want to make this known. On my Twitter account, I posted the definition of jet lag. And it happens when you go across multiple different time zones in one trip. Multiple different time zones, one trip. Just wanted to pass along that for anybody that is interested. Jet lag. Yeah, let's talk about that. So anyways, you are tuned into the post-game show. I'm Ryan in Sacktown. Grant will be back tomorrow night. Can't wait to have him back for the Pelicans game. Kings head into the game 3-0 on this road trip and firing on all cylinders. Now, the important thing is the Kings can't have a letdown. They can't celebrate this win too long. This is another good team, very good team that they're going to see tomorrow night, and a team that presents a lot of, or I shouldn't say a lot, but some matchup problems that this team tonight did not present. Especially you look at some of the bigs, and some of our two-way guys, they're going to have to play extended minutes. And there's the possibility of foul trouble in a game like this with Zion. I don't believe CJ McCollum is back. He has been out with a collapsed rib, or a collapsed lung, excuse me. But I will have to check into that. But you're gonna have to mix it up. You're gonna have to give them different looks. And Mike Brown and the coaching staff did a great job of that for sure. Who is guarding Zion? Great question. You're gonna probably see it's gonna be a mix. You're gonna see some Sabonis at times. And just a reminder, like you saw tonight, they're going to do different things offensively, the Pelicans, that are going to intentionally cause mismatches. So you may come down guarding Zion if you're Keegan Murray or Harrison Barnes, and the Pelicans may intentionally set a pick a certain way or swing the ball and have guys rotate. So the Kings have to switch if they're choosing to switch. So I think you're going to get a heavy dose Sabonis, Murray, JaVale. And that you look at the front line, that's what you kind of have to worry about. Sabonis can't get in foul trouble. JaVale can't get in foul trouble. And then you look at the other guys, they've got to stay ready, and they've got to be ready to plug and play if Mike Brown needs it. But I think they are definitely able to contain this New Orleans team if they play the type of defense they did tonight. I mean, last year, we need a rim protector. We need somebody that can rebound. The Kings are consistently in their wins out-rebounding teams, and they're getting offensive rebounds this year. So if the Kings bring this defensive hustle as well as their offense, 129 tonight, they're going to be in a good spot to win, regardless of who they're playing, regardless of whether or not it's back-to-back, because we're seeing a team that can play, is capable. I'm not going to say can play. They are capable of playing on both ends. So again, you're joining the pregame show. I'm Ryan in Sacktown. Grant will be back tomorrow night with everybody. Hope you enjoyed your Sunday. Hope your football teams won. I know we pretty much do basketball here, but it'd be silly if I don't acknowledge that it was a big NFL Sunday. Congratulations to you Niner fans out there, indeed. Yeah. Fox is Luka's father. Well, he was for tonight. Absolutely. What about Fox's defense? It's been a lot better this season, and it seems like we forgot. This guy's fresh off of spraining his ankle. Looks like he hasn't lost a step. If anything, he is a step quicker. So let's see. Matthew, get ready to wrap this up in a few minutes. Problem was all the players around him at the time were not good. Are you going back to Cousins? I don't care if you put the best players in the NBA around DeMarcus Cousins, and don't tell me that you did when he was on the Olympic team and won a gold medal. He didn't play that much. Okay. So the experience was valuable for him. The experience for him was valuable. Was the experience valuable for the other NBA All-Stars and legends on that team? Can't answer it. I wasn't around that team. I never heard of any stories. DeMarcus Cousins rubbing off on teammates in a good way. So I'm of the belief you could have put whoever you wanted around DeMarcus. You still would have ran into a problem, because I loved DeMarcus's passion. Passion is something you can't teach. Comes from right in here. And you either have it or you don't. But his passion bordered into what's the right word? Just uncontrollability. That's really what it bordered into. You couldn't control the guy. He was uncontrollable, and he couldn't help himself. So if you can't help yourself when it comes to anger, whether it's on the court, off the court, because he was a stand-up guy off the court from all accounts. I was never around him, so I can't say, but we never heard anything bad about DeMarcus off the court. But on the court, there's a reason. I mean, I know Sacramento doesn't get a ton of free agents as it is, but there's a reason that there was a rotating door of people here in Sacramento, or I don't want to say mid-level NBA talent, but mediocre NBA talent at times around DeMarcus. It's because anybody good probably didn't want to play with him. And when they did, it ended up not working out. And so I don't think it makes a difference in his case. I really don't. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Let's see. How many times have McGee and Zion met up in the past? No idea, Blaine. If I did, I would answer that for you, but I would have to look that up. So, all right, we're going to get ready to wrap up. Just a wonderful Sunday night performance from the Kings. Again, tip to closing buzzer domination by this team. Outscored the Mavericks 3 of 4 quarters tonight. In the one quarter, they did not outscore them. They were only outscored by 1 point. So just a great, great game. And again, I want to emphasize the Mavericks were top 3 NBA in scoring per game tonight, coming into tonight. Only 113 points tonight. So say what you want to say. This team showed up on both ends of the court. And when they do, we get a taste of that potential. And so I think the big word coming out of tonight is consistency. Grant says it all the time. I will say it for him. Consistency. The question becomes, how do the Kings bounce back from a big win less than 24 hours earlier and show up tomorrow night in New Orleans? This is the Kings' first back-to-back game or first back-to-back of the season. So we need to see this performance tonight validated by another strong performance tomorrow night. But at the end of the day, the Kings are 3-0 right now on this road trip with 3 more to go. They are already at 500% for the road trip before the last 3 games are even played. So really good stuff from Sacramento. I'm so glad that all of you joined me tonight. I think we came to a consensus. Grant's at Bennett's having the Redfish or the New York Strip. So, and I think everybody was saying Rockland too. So he's at Rockland having a New York. So probably, what's he do? I think medium, mid-rare, medium. Yeah. So he'll be back after he enjoys that steak or redfish and be here tomorrow for the game with the New Orleans Pelicans. Again, thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry I didn't get to more of your comments. I promise to get to more tomorrow, but we will have wall-to-wall coverage of the Kings tomorrow. Again, we will be back right here on If You Don't Like That with pregame, postgame, and halftime with Jerry Reynolds. Sean Salisbury, 3 o'clock, I believe. I have to check with Grant, but usually Sean Salisbury, 3 o'clock on Mondays to wrap up the football weekend on If You Don't Like That. And give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed what you've seen tonight. And subscribe if you haven't already. We would greatly appreciate it. And we thank you. You guys are the best fans in the NBA. You guys are the reason we do what we do. And a huge thanks also to Jerry Reynolds joining us here. Also, not just at halftime, but on the post-game show as well. So Kings, get it done tonight. Best win of the season, to quote Jerry Reynolds. 129-113. Since I can't give you an if you don't like that or an oh boy, it just wouldn't be right. We're going to play out the intro for you and let Grant take you home. Light the beam. Kings win. Enjoy your night. We will see you right back here on If You Don't Like That tomorrow for the New Orleans Pelicans game. Good night.
3, 2, 1, go.
Sacramento miscue. Carter. Stolen by Williams. And look at this. Oh, you don't like that. You don't like NBA basketball. Fox. Goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. The exclamation point from De'Aaron Fox. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball.
Boy, that's an ESPN highlight right there. Whoa. Carlson comes in. How about this? Holy moly, Jim Bob Foley. That is a major league smush.